Welcome to Threads of Sustainability, where you get to hear the passionate, informative, and engaging conversations of creatives, makers, manufacturers, and producers from all over the globe. We explore what sustainability can look like in the quilting, fiber, and textile world, and I'm your host, Bridget O'Flaherty, also known as the Sustainable Quilter. Welcome back to another episode of Threads of Sustainability. I'm your host, Bridget. This week, I am talking with a couple of folks from the organization called Our Social Fabric. And this is an organization that is a not-for-profit working to sell unsewn fabrics, keeping them out of landfills, and doing a large amount of social projects as well within their community. And we got to have a great conversation about all the things that they're doing, how they were founded, how they operate, and some of their future projects that they've got planned. One of the super cool things about talking with these folks is learning about some of the organizations that are really working hard to measure the impact that they're actually making. And these folks have saved 34,000 pounds of materials from the landfill in 2022, which is pretty spectacular. They sell their materials for 75% less than regular retail prices. So they make it really affordable and accessible for people within the community. They offer workshops. They do all kinds of interesting things at their on-site store. And it's just really great to see that these kinds of initiatives are coming out into the retail sphere for us as an option and an alternative away from the new and the higher prices and the just the commodification of the products. Even though these products are offcuts and dead stock that end up happening from theater and wholesalers and manufacturers, it's still a way of keeping those products from going to the landfill instead. So I think it's a pretty exciting initiative, and I hope you enjoy the conversation.
I want to welcome you guys from Our Social Fabric to Threads of Sustainability. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So I've got two of you here, which is a bit different for me. I don't often do two people at the same time, but I'm sure we'll be able to navigate this. Why don't we start with you, Marianne, and tell us a little bit about your role and maybe give us a bit of background around what Our Social Fabric is. Is that good?
Sure. Yeah. So I am a volunteer at Our Social. I've been a volunteer for 5 to 6 years now, 5 years. And I recently, during COVID and stuff, I got asked to apply to sit on their board. And so did that and I applied, and it was actually just a little background about me. I have a fashion design degree and I have an education degree, and I was at a little bit of a crossroads, as most people were during COVID, kind of struggling with the changes and stuff. But I unexpectedly lost my mom, and I was kind of searching for that purpose, and this opportunity arose. And so I applied and I got accepted, and it kind of gave me a new focus and was very fulfilling for me working on this board, because I've introduced scholarships like the SoFund scholarship, and I teach I have let go of teaching now, but I now bring my education degree and I teach for Our Social Fabric at like the teachers conferences that come in, or high school classrooms that request us to come and speak to their students and stuff. So that's my role. And I also still am volunteering. Once a week, I go in and roll fabric, and I join the other ladies that are in there and have a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, and Our Social, we're just a textile recycling place located in the Lower Mainland. And what we do is we collect fabric away from the industry. So whether it be a film or, manufacturers for the clothing, textiles, or even just local home sewers who want to kind of go through their stash. And we take it and we look at it and we do fabric testing to see what the fabric is. And then we bundle it up and we sell it back out at 5% less than you would find in the store. So, and not just fabric, I should say everything.
There's about 100 questions in there that I want to ask, but I want to give Joanna a chance to give us a bit of her background and maybe fill out some of the details on Our Social Fabric and what that business is. And then I'm going to dig into some of those questions that I have, because you said a whole bunch of things there that made me go, wait a minute, what's that? What do you mean? So we'll start
Yeah,
with
go for
Joanna.
it.
Go ahead.
So I'm Joanna Wyatt, and I joined Our Social Fabric just at the beginning of COVID in January 2020. I had retired about 9 months before that and was looking for something to be able to give back to the community around. I love sewing. I've been a sewer since I was a teenager, and I'd also had my professional career was in communications and a bit of marketing. So I thought, well, I have a lot of skills that I learned, professionally, and I could bring that to a nonprofit organization. So I was thrilled when Our Social Fabric accepted me on the board. And over the course of the since then, we've had quite a few changes as people, as they are wont to do, come and go. So at the moment, I'm chair of the board of Our Social Fabric. I don't volunteer in the shop on a regular basis, but I do a stint about once or twice a month, and it's usually at one of our in-store sales. So as Marianne said, we have our mandate basically is to keep usable but unwanted fabric and notions out of landfills. And there is a lot of fabric out there that people don't want anymore. We started in 2009 when a couple of women who were working in the film industry realized that there was a lot of fabric going to waste after the productions wrapped up. So they took it, and very humble beginnings, putting it out on a sidewalk somewhere and then putting it back in a storage room. And after the end of the sale, and they did that for a while, and eventually, got a space where they could actually have sales right on site. And to today, where we're about 14 years later, and we have quite a large warehouse space where we have sales, and we also sell online. And we had been talking about going online for a long time, but COVID made it an absolute necessity, because had we not done that, we wouldn't be in business, because there was just no way that we were going to have a revenue stream if we didn't go online. So that's a little bit about my history and about the store and the shop and our organization.
Okay, so it really started with that film industry, which is pretty prominent in Vancouver, right? It's a big industry out there.
Yes, we have a lot of film productions going on here.
And so what would they do with the materials before that?
I've read that lots of times it gets burned or it gets thrown in the garbage. So yeah, you just get rid of it.
It just seems like such a waste. I'm so glad that there's not like what you guys have got. So it's not necessarily dead stock, right? Like, so you guys don't have dead stock there, or do you have dead stock there? What is dead stock?
Everything that we have is dead stock because it's not being produced anymore, as far as we know. It was bought by an organization or by a person, because as Marianne said, we get a lot of donations from people, home sewers, and it's one of a kind things too. So it's one piece of perhaps two meters or 3 meters, or sometimes even as small as a half a meter. And you just sort of have to be in the shop when it's on sale to get it. We have some great bargains and great finds, and it comes from all over.
So I guess the difference is maybe pre-consumer or post-consumer, in terms of the waste. Like, you guys are getting it's post-consumer that you're getting mostly, right?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Like, it's been purchased for a specific purpose, and then it's no longer usable material.
Well, it's usable. It's just not wanted.
Right. No, right.
By whoever has it at the time. It's perfectly usable. That's why we want it. We want it.
It's gorgeous fabric too.
Choice of words there.
Yeah. It's interesting though, in the clothing industry, so you design a line, and so let's say you're making a bunch of sweaters and you've decided you want that sweater to be, robin's egg blue or something. And so you've picked your color, you've picked your fabric, and you've gone into production, and then you contact whoever you're getting your fabric from, and you could be being as sustainable conscious as you want, and they'll say, well, we're only going to give you this amount of meterage for your line, but maybe you don't need all of that fabric, but you're kind of at a crossroads where you go, well, this is the color, this is the fabric, I've been quite sustainable about purchasing, say it's like your organic cotton and etc. then they have that waste from they've made their production of their how many sweaters they've made or the units, and then they've got fabric waste. So lots of times we're getting that stuff. So it's very high quality, beautiful stuff we're getting our hands on.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So that's what I think of when I think of dead stock, is that stuff has not actually gone to the consumer because they're making their product, and then it's the excess of whatever they have, and it's nowhere for it to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we'll also see it in movie sets and stuff, as we mentioned, Vancouver does a lot of set work. And so a movie set will buy, lots of time these designers are either buying clothing from a store or they're buying meterage of fabric and sewing costumes. And so then they're buying fabric and we're getting in whatever they didn't use. And I've worked on a set, and it's kind of you're working with a director. And so they're saying, well, we want pinstripes. And so then they're buying 3 different types of pinstripe material. And then the director goes, well, we want those ones. And then sometimes they can't return that fabric. So then we're getting stuff like that, or they've never used it. So, or, which I love seeing, we'll get a beautiful roll of silk, and then we'll be unrolling it, and we'll look and we'll be like, oh, this was dyed. Someone hand dyed this. And then you get that cool texture. And then that is also ridiculously unique because you're not going to find that in a store. So, which is very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. And so you guys have a warehouse, and is the warehouse the same as the retail space? Like, do people get to wander through the warehouse and look at what's in there?
Yes, so we have a large space, and it's in a building at the corner of Clark and Venable Street in Vancouver. And it is our shop, and it's where we take in the fabric. So we have where the fabric rolls are sort of marked off in the space by a curtain. And we also have another room in the building where we keep all the rolls of fabric. So the shop looks like a warehouse. If anybody's ever been to Mood Fabrics in New York City, it looks a lot like that. It's just kind of this barren space. It's not a fancy retail store or anything like that. It's definitely looks like a warehouse, but it's our store. It's our retail store. And we're open 2 days a week, and for 4 hours or 3 or 4 hours each time. And we're also online. So we have a section of that space dedicated to our online store, which operates similarly but separately, because we have to be very specific about what fabrics go online.
Sure, yeah, you can't have them in both places, right?
No.
And consistent on the yardage. Like online, you'll find that it's very consistent of 2 meters, 2.5 meters. We're very thoughtful about that. Like we get a shirt weight and we go, well, people are going to make blouses out of this, so cut it in 2.5 meters. So whereas the store, you'll find more of, so we're unrolling this and we've cut 2.5 meters of everything, and then all of a sudden there's a meter left. So then the store will get more of those, half meters or whatever is left over.
The store also gets the things that are one-offs. Like we get some really beautiful things, and those come primarily from home sewers that's been in their stashes. And so they're just one-offs. They're one piece of something. And usually, well, we try to divide it up fairly, but the store gets a lot of those rather than the online shop.
And so what kind of folks are coming in to purchase from you guys? Like, what are they looking to sew?
Oh my gosh, everything. So yeah, it goes all across. Like, my gosh, I can't even, everything. I don't know if Joanna has a better answer.
We have a lot of students who come in and a lot of home sewers, far more men than there used to be, actually. So which is a surprise and a lovely surprise. And we get a lot of repeat customers. I work the sales on at least once or sometimes twice a month. And so I see the same people a lot. But we're really focused on trying to get new customers in our door and to expand our profile and our awareness, especially in the Vancouver market for the retail store, but across Canada for our online store. So that's why doing podcasts such as yours is a really wonderful opportunity for us to spread our message and let people know about us, no matter where in Canada they live.
So tell me a little bit about the business model. So you're a not-for-profit, you're not a charity. So what does that mean? Like, why did you decide to take on that business model?
Well, we're not in the business to make revenue. We're in the business to save fabric from going into landfills. So that's why we became a nonprofit. And I'm not sure why, because I wasn't there at the beginning when when the organization at the time decided to go that route and not a charitable route. But what that means for us is that we can't give tax receipts. So we take donations, but if somebody wants to get a receipt, unfortunately, they won't be able to. So because we don't offer them, because we're not a charity. Yeah.
I think that, yeah, you have to make these decisions around those types of business models and what your capacity is at the time and what your goals are. And like you say, your goal is really to keep those fabrics out of the textile waste stream. And it isn't necessarily about the charitable projects, but you guys actually still do a lot of social projects there as well, right?
Marianne's our expert on that.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about being a nonprofit, because like Joanna, I wasn't there at the beginning, so I'm not sure why they chose this direction, but I think it's wonderful because we give back a lot. So we, if there's a humanitarian need, for example, with Ukraine and stuff, we did a month of, can't remember the actual percentage, but we did a donation to them to help out with that relief. And when we have any of the floods or the fires, we donate to Red Cross. We take a proceeds of our sales for the month and donate to Red Cross. We also donate to Truth and Reconciliation. We also will feature an orange fabric that if you purchase that fabric to make, something for that day, 100% of the proceeds from that will go to Truth and Reconciliation too. And then my baby that I started with everyone's help is we started a scholarship called the Sew Fund Scholarship. And this one's really cool because we get a lot of sewing machines donated that not very many people know about. And they're beautiful machines. I was in there the other day fixing up a bunch of machines I wanted to take home, and everyone was telling me I already have too many machines, so I get it. But we got an embroidery machine and like an Elna $1,000 machine, and it was just sitting brand new in the box. And everyone didn't think, they were like, "We don't know about this one. This is a good machine. There must be something wrong with it." There's nothing wrong with it. I hooked it up, plugged it in, and I embroidered a bunch of stuff. And so we're gonna sell it back out, and for 75% less of what you're going to find anywhere else. And it's a working, beautiful machine. And so then we take the profits from that and we buy brand new machines for high school students in the Lower Mainland at this point. Love to expand it, but we buy brand new machines and we get them to apply to receive one of those machines. And so what we're looking for in the application is someone that, either has a financial burden that they're, like their parents, and they're looking to buy a machine, but they can't afford to buy one. And so we're going to, looking for those types of students, or we're looking for students that are changing lives. I recently went and gave out 4 machines, and one of the kids, she sewed her entire production of her school play just because on a whim, they were like, "Hey, do you think you could help with the production?" And she not only helped, she did the whole thing. And now she's doing it again. And on her spare time, nobody's paying her. She just loves to sew, but she's working on her grandmother's old sewing machine. So we gave her a brand new sewing machine. There was another kid, super cool, said that they have gained a lot of confidence and acceptance of their body from learning how to sew. They are a trans kid, and they said that learning how to sew and making clothes that fit their body and feel comfortable and happy has been a game changer for them. And they're wanting to keep sewing so that they can help other students and friends in their community with the same thing. And so I found that quite beautiful. So we gave them a machine. So, just helping these kids know that arts are meaningful and important, and also keeping it sustainable, because I'm picking very good quality machines that I told them that I'm going to find them in 30 years and they better still be using that machine. So.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the big things, right? We got to be careful about what we're putting out into the world and purchasing, because durability is a big part of sustainability. It's not just about getting the least expensive. It's about getting good quality for things.
Oh, 100%. I used to, because I taught night school, and I used to tell my students all the time, please don't buy any sewing supplies like in the intro class. I'm like, I will bring all of them in for you. You can use all my threads, all my scissors, everything. And because at the end of the 8 weeks, when they fall in love, because I was convinced of my teaching abilities, they would fall in love with sewing, and they could then invest in good, high quality scissors and pins and needles and, seam rippers and stuff. Like even a seam ripper, those things break all the time. It's like you buy a good quality one, you're going to have it for a long time. So,
and yeah, I actually just brought in some seam rippers into my online store, and they're expensive. They're a local wood turner who has made them, but it's probably the last seam ripper you'll ever have to buy. So yeah, and it's he's using woods in the that are sustainably harvested. So they would have been trees that fell instead of going out and actually cutting down trees. They're trees that fell, and he's using parts of the tree that wouldn't be used for anything else. Like when he turns stuff, it's usually burls, and burls aren't really useful for a whole lot of things in the woodworking world.
I just want to add one more thing. One other thing that we do support with our profits is a scholarship at Kwantlen College. So Kwantlen is a college here in Richmond, BC, and they have a fashion school where Marianne went. She's a graduate, and so we have sponsored a program there where they have a competition basically, and students come to our store. They get a certain amount of fabric that they use to then make it and design something. And so it's been fabulous. I've been to the event where they announce the winners the last couple of years, and it's just amazing to see the creativity that they put into these designs. And that's something that we want to support, the up and coming people who are also in the fashion are in the fashion industry to be able to continue and to be able to, not only get maybe help them with their schooling, but to help them get a leg up when they start their careers.
Yeah, well, and getting them into a place where they know they're supported, that there's a business, that there's a way forward that's not necessarily the traditional trajectory. I think that it's really important to let the youth of today understand that there's different ways that we can be business people. And so if they're learning these skills and trades early, and they're being supported by a community saying, yes, this is worth doing, please do this, that's super important.
Yeah, agreed. And then we also do in-kind donations too. So not just the monetary ones. We also have that. Like last year, we donated to a Lillooet artisan. Her name was Nadine Baker. And she, after the wildfires were horrific, she asked if we would donate, and we did. And so inspired by that, we've started, you can now go on our website and apply for an in-kind donation.
What does an in-kind donation look like?
So let's say just materials. So you can say, I want to make this for, my gosh, Joanna, maybe better phrase it for me. But yeah, just like for this one, I think it was more beads and stuff like that. So we donated a bunch of that stuff. So it's just more of like, come and shop at our store, and we'll help you.
To people who are trying to make a living or trying to replace things that have been damaged or whatever.
Yeah.
It's primarily fabric for a cause. So people are sewing, say they're making a quilt for a cause like Cops for Cancer, and they need some fabric for that. So we would be able to provide some of the fabric that they needed to make the quilt. So it's not just, I need some fabric because I want to make myself a top. It's fabric that's going to be created into something that is going to support some organization's cause.
Hey everyone, it's Bridget, the Sustainable Quilter. I wanted to let you know about the Green Stitchers Hive. It's our brand new online community. It's a welcoming space where we can connect, share knowledge and resources, and support each other in our journey towards sustainable textile practices, whatever that means to you: quilting, weaving, knitting, felting, anything. Inside the Hive, we have workshops, monthly challenges, live Q&A sessions, live lectures with guest speakers, and opportunities to connect with other like-minded people. You can access the Green Stitchers Hive on my website at bridgetoflaherty.com. Can't wait to see you there.
Sure. So like say they're in a fire situation, say the curtains burn down on the local community center or something like that. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And one of the things I did want to say, just because before I forget to say it, is that is the amount of fabric last year that we saved from going into the landfills. And it was 34 1,652 to be exact pounds from going into the landfills. So that's a significant amount. And every year, the amount that we save is going up. And what that equates to is the weight of 3 large African elephants. Yeah, so if you can imagine 3 elephants, that's how much fabric weight that we've saved from the landfills just in 2022.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so what are you guys seeing, like, in terms of volumes? Do you see trends? Like, are there busier times? Do you get more fabric at a specific time? And have you seen an increase in the amount of fabric that's coming into your hands over the years? Or is it lessening?
I've seen it increasing, especially after COVID, because everyone was home going through their supplies and kind of assessing, do I need this? So the donations increased there for sure.
And the other thing, because we are becoming more known, especially in the Lower Mainland, and people are more aware of us, we're getting a lot more donations, so which is great. And now we actually are dealing with a space issue. So we are going to be having a sale in the very near future to make way for new donations that we are expecting to get in the next little while. So yes, at one point, I understand, although it was before my time, we did have an issue with getting donations in. That's certainly not the case now. We get a lot of donations. We don't want to say no to anybody who is offering us something, because we want to keep it out of the landfill. So now we just have to figure out where to put it before we can process it and get it into the store and then into the hands of sewers.
So you're not taking clothing at all. It is just yardage.
No.
Yeah, fabric and haberdashery, my favorite word.
Yes.
Fabric and notions, but all the fabric arts like knitting and embroidery and anything that has to do with fabric and the notions that are associated with that, patterns, not books so much, because people tend not to be buying books anymore. They tend to go online to find out the information that they need, although we do have some books still in the shop. But anything else, lots of patterns, lots of thread, zippers by galore, boxes and boxes
so many
of zippers
zippers
that we have, and all lengths and colors. Yeah, and notions. Now the notions are kind of one-offs because we don't get a lot of little scissors or those types of things. But when we do get something, it can be pretty darn good.
Yeah, we actually recently got a donation, and it's called tatting, isn't it? The lace making. And that's the wonderful thing about our organization and why people should shop there, is because we do get these unique pieces that are hard to find. And so this woman, that's what she did, and it had everything. And she had handwritten instructions by how to make these lace things, and she had doilies, and she had tablecloths, and it was cool. It was so cool.
Yeah, my sister took a class recently in tatting, and when she was done, like, she hated it, and she's like, it's like, how are doilies worth so little? They are so much work. It's incredible the amount of work that goes into tatting, and it's crazy. Like, I would be interested in it. I think I would quite like the flipping. What are they called? Bobbins? I don't know if they're called bobbins or not, but anyways,
I know nothing about it.
The little wooden pieces that you flip around. I'm sure there's somebody listening to this just cringing, not because they know they
want to help us out.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's pretty amazing, and I would love to see those crafts and arts really stay alive.
Yeah, me too.
Do you guys offer any classes and that kind of stuff? Is that something that you're doing or thinking about doing?
Thinking about would be yes, but not at the present.
We just don't have the space at the moment. So that's the issue for us right now, is we don't have anywhere to hold classes because our space is taken up by both our retail store and our online store. So if we were ever to expand, perhaps we would be able to move into classes. We did at one point, before we had a online store, offer classes in the shop, but we had to make a decision to stop doing that in order to open our online store.
Yeah, I guess you have to decide where your biggest impact actually is, and probably the online.
Exactly.
Being able to move more materials is a bigger impact.
Exactly. That's allowing us to, save 34,000 pounds in 1922 from going into the garbage dumps. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome.
So while we're speaking of the online store, I want to just talk about something we did recently introduce was a cubby system. Yeah, and we're very happy with that, and it's great because it's reducing those the mail that's going out and that aspect of pollution.
What a cubby system is, what does that mean?
So cubby system is if I was to go online, especially sometimes we get just a small amount of fabric, and I go online and I see that we have a meter of wool and I want to purchase it, and I do. Before you'd have to ship right away. And so then you're, just for one little small package. And so now what we've introduced is a cubby system where I can buy that 1 meter of wool that I'm looking at, and then I can add it to my cubby. And so then what it'll do is it'll sit there until I'm ready to ship. And so then next week, if we talking about shirt weight stuff, I go online and I see that there's shirt weights, then I can add that to my cubby system. And then when I'm ready, I can ship it all out to myself. And so it'll get packaged in one package instead of 5 little ones. We'll just get one giant package once you ship. It's a really cool system. So,
and what it also does is helps with the environmental impact of shipping something. So not only are we saving fabric from the landfill, we're also reducing the impact that our shipping has on the environment. So we're very happy with that service, and more people are using it.
Yeah, it's been well received.
Yeah, it's interesting how we start something, we think that it's a good move, we've got this idea, but then we realize, oh, but this is problematic. Like, we've got this great thing that we're doing where we're saving these textiles from going into the waste, and we're shipping them out to all of the people, but then there's this secondary downside to it. So yeah, interesting to kind of be able to pivot and come up with new ways of mitigating carbon impacts that you're doing, and things that you weren't necessarily obvious right from the outset.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit. So you guys work mostly as a volunteer organization. Do you have paid staff?
Yes, we do. We actually have 6 at the moment paid staff, and when I started 3.5 years ago, and they're all part-time, by the way. And when I started 3.5 years ago, we only had 1. So we've expanded, and I'm really proud of that because we are helping our economy. We now employ people, and people seem to really enjoy working at our social fabric. We also have quite a roster of volunteers, and the organization wouldn't be able to run without the volunteers. And I actually first wanted to be a volunteer at our social fabric, and they said, no, we got too many. You can't be a volunteer. And that's how I joined the board. Well, they wanted board members. So, okay, well, I could join the board. Maybe if I joined the board, then I could be a volunteer. So that's what happened to me. Yeah. And there's a lot of, people want to be involved at our social fabric. They want to volunteer. So we don't really have an issue with finding volunteers, which is wonderful. And we absolutely need them. So it's a totally, organization that runs with the help of volunteers. But we do, because we now have an online store, and we're becoming more focused on, getting this fabric in and then out again. We need to have people who are responsible for those types of jobs in doing that. So that's why we have 6 employees as well as the big roster of volunteers.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's an important piece as companies and businesses grow and become sustainable, is that community contribution, not only in terms of donation projects or support projects that way, but supporting the local economy is hugely important. And I expect that some of their paycheck probably goes back into the organization.
It does. And all the other thing about the volunteers is that it's a community. Everybody is interested in sewing or some aspect of fabric arts. And so we have a lot of chatter about, oh, what are you working on? And how did it work? And this and that. And how did you do this? And how did you do that? And what fabric did you use? And oh my God, did you see that beautiful piece that just came in? And so it's a lot of it's really fun, because I don't know a lot of sewers in my other life, except for the group of people who I work with at our social fabric.
Nice. do you guys get fabric and then make samples and do that kind of stuff as well to show people kind of how the fabric can be used? Do you guys do that within volunteers?
Yeah, we always offer like, let's say, especially when something's been sitting for a while and we want to show the public that it's cool fabric. So we got Chito Sante. That's how you pronounce it, I think. And what it is it's a fabric made from crab shells and shrimp shells. And so it's cool fabric. It's athletic fabric and it's SPF 50 and it's wicking and doesn't make you smell and all that good stuff you would want from athleisure clothes. But no one was buying it. It was just sitting there. And it was because the colors were not what you would normally buy. And so they were, bright pink and neon green. So we asked everyone, would you sew all of this? And we'll have a big sale and list it for 50% off. And I think we pretty much got cleaned out of it. So everyone, like Joanna sewed a shirt, I made a little tennis outfit, and then we posted it on our blog and on our social medias and said, look, like we have this great fabric, and talked about it. And then all of a sudden everyone went, wow, I didn't realize they have that. So, but anytime we get like a large amount in, we ask everyone to sew. Like this week, everyone took pictures. We just got like this really slinky knit wear and in bright colors as well. And so they, again, were like, we've got a lot of this. Who wants to sew? So, I grabbed a piece of it and made up a dress, and everyone else did. And we took some pictures, and then that'll also get posted, and we'll say, hey, so, because we want to inspire people too. Like, here's some fabric, maybe not in your usual colors you would want, but it looks great and it's fun to work with. And we can sometimes give tips and all that stuff. So
Sure. And so how, like you say, you're posting it, how do people find you? Where are you posting stuff?
Well, we've got all our social media. So we are on Instagram and we have Facebook, and then we have a blog that we'll do updates on as well. So and the blog is linked on our website.
Yeah, that's what the blog is on our website, and it's oursocialfabric.ca.
Okay. I'll have all of that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, it was really fun sewing up the Chiosante or Cheeto Sante. I can never pronounce it properly. And then seeing what everybody else made with it. I was blown away by Marianne's outfit. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And somebody made, with this lightweight fabric, somebody made a pantsuit, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
So, and it was always like, how did she do that? What happened?
It's all big discussion. Did she fuse it?
Big discussion. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's cool to see what everyone creates. It's inspiring. That's why Joanna said that we all want to volunteer there. It's because you're in there and it's inspiring, and people will bring in their projects. A few weeks ago, one of the volunteers brought in a rug that she made, and she like hand hooked it, and all from fabric scraps and all wool. And she was very particular. And this thing is huge and insane. I just stared at it for a good hour being like, so you really made this whole thing? Like you cut up all these? And she's like, yes. And it's so cool and especially from scraps, because I'm all about, I want to see make things out of these scrap fabrics. And I was like, that's so cool. So.
Well, yeah, I was just talking with Catherine Greenfield Swanson, I think, from Swanson Fabrics. And she does rag rugs and really promotes the use of polyesters in rag rugs, because if we use polyesters into things that don't need to ever go into the landfill, that's a better way for them to be used, right? So she's a big fan of throwing those polyesters, and you can use these multicolors. Like it does, when you put it all together, it looks really good as a rug. And so she's got this pattern for rag rugs, and it's pretty quick and easy stuff to do. I mean, she says quick and easy, but I don't know. Probably takes her a lot less time than it would take me. But it seems like a pretty cool way to use up those scraps and use up materials that we wouldn't necessarily use for other things.
Yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I want to thank you guys for being here. I think what your organization is doing is very, very exciting. And I am excited to see more. Well, ideally, I'd love to see no more of these, and I'd like to see you guys go out of business, because then it would mean that we didn't have textile waste that we needed to do something with. So that's would be my preference. But in light of what we have going on in the world of textile waste, I'm glad to see more and more organizations like yours growing and popping up, and finding a way to actually get materials in the hands of people who will upcycle it and reuse it and give it purpose again.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, it's been a really interesting conversation. I love learning about all the different things that are going on out there in the world of sustainability and different ways that it's being approached.
Can I add one more quick thing? If you are in BC and you're a home economics teacher, we will be at the conference this year. There's a huge teachers home economics conference that happens. It's a big deal if you're a home ec teacher, which is what I have my education degree in. And so teachers from all across BC come in for this conference, and they can take all these wonderful workshops and participate in lectures and door prizes. And we did it last year, and we're back again, and we're doing 2 workshops, and I will be teaching them. And one of them, well, if I get the approval, which I think I will, is I'm going to do the noticeable mending, which I'm really loving that trend coming forward. And so bring in a garment that you love and you want to fix it up, and let's make it noticeable and be a little bit more, bring spotlight to the fact that you don't have to have a garment be, in perfect condition, and it can still look really, really beautiful. So, and so we're going to be at the Teachers Conference in October. It's October 20th. So if you're in BC and you want to come listen to us talk about what we do and chat with us and meet us, we'll be there. So
awesome. I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I didn't know about that. That's an exciting thing. I'm so glad that Quebec is, I don't know, when I was a kid, which is, 100 years ago, we had home ec class, and I learned to sew in home ec class, and I sewed my pants, and I never, ever figured out how to do closures. So I never did zippers, and I never did buttons and that kind of stuff. But I would get them done to the point where I could put safety pins,
At least you're wearing them.
Yeah.
Cool. So it didn't matter. But yeah, my kids grew up, and I don't think there was home ec really available to them through high school. So I'm glad to know that there are areas where home ec is still happening, and whether it's still called home ec or not, I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Or textiles. It's textiles and foods, because in grade 8 you dabble in everything. So you have to take, that's part of the curriculum, is you have to take a 6 weeks sewing, 6 weeks food, and then they go 6 weeks into the other departments of like woodworking, etc. And then after that, you can come back into the textile class. And so being the home ec teacher and then also doing the scholarship, I've had to go to these schools, and there are schools where I'm just like, oh, I want to hug the teacher and say, thank you. This is wonderful. I can see your students here. This room is full of, I had one woman go into her back closet, and she was like, I need to show you something. And I was like, yeah, and thought she was going to pull out something she had made. And instead she pulled out a huge tray of jars, and it was all natural dyes. And she's like, this is marigold. This is, and she went through all of them. And I was like, wow. And she, there are those pockets of teachers that are, and like, well, you'll find them everywhere, that love their job. And the textiles makes me happy, because sometimes it is missing in the curriculum, and I think it's important. So
I was talking to somebody earlier today about this ancestral connection to textiles that seems to be there. It seems to really stir things in certain people to be around textiles in any way, and I feel like that's definitely the case for me when I'm touching any kind of materials. Or I love the smell of pressing materials, and I was a little weird, but I love the smell of fabric.
I like the feel of it, because I used to run through as a kid with my grandmother and just feel the fabric. So I'm very tactile, and it's like ingrained in me from the beginning. And to be sustainable about it, because my grandmother would make me dresses from bed sheets, and she would make old clothes into quilts. So I was like, oh, it's in my DNA.
Yeah, same. I didn't have a lot of exposure to my grandparents. But my grandmother started working at a textile mill in England. She was 12 years old when she started working in textile mills. That was what was done back then. But my family, I have a huge family history in textile mills from England. My mother was a textile person, quilter, teacher, embroidery. She always had busy hands. And so for me, it is this really deep rooted, it feels genetic, like it feels ancestral. Yeah,
I agree. Same.
Anyway, I'm glad to see that it's still happening, that there's people out there in the world who feel that and are doing that in the world of education. I think it's good. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there. I thank you guys so much for being here. I think it was a really great conversation. It's really great to get to know some of the people behind our social fabric and some of the drivers and meaningful things that you guys are doing. I think it's really awesome. I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you again for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
So I really enjoyed that conversation, and I love hearing about all the different projects that they're working on. And quite frankly, what I really love about it is that there's an organization out there that has taken the time to think of a business model that can benefit the community and take care of textile waste and give the opportunity for these different companies like the theater and film industries out in Vancouver. They finally have a place for this material to go, and that it's becoming a commodity that is something that's sought after, that we're not looking at that as waste anymore. We're looking at those remnants, those pieces, as valuable materials for our projects, and we have the opportunity to access them now. I think that's fantastic. And that the fact that they're measuring how much waste they're keeping out of landfills is super important. We need to pay attention to that. And it gives us this opportunity also to have a place to send our materials when we have excess. And I know that we all have excess fabric that we don't need and that we don't use and that we've never looked at. And so I think that it's really important that more and more places like this start popping up and we have options around textile reuse. I think it's exciting to see this kind of company developing, and I really hope that we see a lot more of this. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to Threads of Sustainability. I really appreciate all the support that I've received over the last year. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, you can do that in a couple of different ways. You can go over to my website and you can buy me a cuppa, and that helps keep the lights on here. You can also follow, and share the podcast with people that you know that might be interested. If you're interested in joining a community where we talk about all the different kinds of things around sustainability and share projects and share our journeys with each other, you can join the Green Stitchers Hive. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can send me an email. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you think about the podcast. Have a great day.